Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure to stand before you today to bring to you a brief, and I mean brief, history of the work done for and with the blind and visually impaired community in Trinidad and Tobago. I think we've come a long way. In our ranks, we have persons who are involved in mass communication, music, education, technology, and so much more. But where did it start? Allow me to be a little biblical, and a piece of scripture from Judges chapter 2 comes to mind, where the generation after Joshua, and anybody who knows about Joshua, he did these mighty works for the children of Israel, taking them into the promised land. And when that generation died, there was a generation after who knew nothing about the work that Joshua did or his generation. And I'm saying today, that must never happen in the blind and visually impaired community in Trinidad and Tobago. The work really started in 1914 with a man called James Alves from Guyana, who, of course, some of us would know the story. If not, he went blind and then went to England and had to return because of poor health. And he went throughout the Caribbean seeking to set up work for and with the blind in mind, but he was rejected. Eventually he came to Trinidad and Tobago, and he was able to pioneer the work in the Caribbean. So actually, the work for the blind, and I'm proud to say this being a very proud Trinidad and Tobagonian, the work for the blind in the Caribbean actually started in our beautiful and fantastic Twin Island Republic. So the work started in 1914, and out of the Duke Street premises right now where Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association is housed. And the scheme was called the Scheme for the Instruction of the Blind, and it was there were two components: basketry and also the primary school curriculum. Management changed hands throughout the years, and in 1947 the Blind Welfare Association, Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association, took charge of the affairs of the blind. In 1952, the School for the Blind was opened at Santa Cruz because it was felt that education and work needed to be divided. In the School for the Blind, you would have learned from the curriculum, the primary school curriculum, and also extracurricular activities. In 1965, the school engaged in a pilot project, and I'm very proud of this, and I'll tell you why, to integrate students into the primary schools around the area. In 1995, the persons associated with visual impairment came into being, came out of the Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association. Some would call it, of course, a breakaway group. I prefer to call it divine scattering. And I encourage the executives of Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association and also the persons associated with visual impairment to continue to work assiduously. We will not, as Nehemiah say, come off the wall until the work is through. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.